Hey everyone, Georgetown Soaps here. I am getting ready to make some Japanese cherry blossom scented bath bombs. This is the Bath & Body Works dupe. I get it from BeScented. Smells fantastic, and I'm in the Washington, D.C. area. And so we've just finished up the Cherry Blossom Festival, huge event. Cherry blossoms are all anyone talks about in D.C. for a couple weeks, and I've got a pretty big event this weekend, so I thought what better fragrance for the DC area this time of the year than cherry blossom. So it's always a good seller. Right now I am just sifting through the citric acid and the baking soda. I always find it's easier to run it through the sifter because then you've got fewer clumps when you're trying to mix. And in my last video, someone asked me where I got this stainless steel bowl, and I've got a couple of them, and I got the first one originally at Costco. I think I got a couple from there, and then I've also gotten some from like Restaurant Depot. I know I've also gotten some from like webrestaurant.com, I think is what it is. So kind of any restaurant supply store is going to have them. I've never seen them at Sam's or BJ's, but I know Costco had them a couple years ago at least, and you can get them basically at any restaurant store because they use them to prep food. The size I have, I think I've got some 16 quart and I've also got some 20 quart, and those are about the right size for my batch of bath bombs. I kind of wouldn't want it any smaller and wouldn't want it any bigger, so that's a good size. My recipe, when I triple it, it makes about 34.5 ounce bath bombs, just to give you, point of measure. So I like the bowls. They're super convenient, easy to clean, quick to clean, all that, great size. And so I've added all of my dry ingredients at this point, and I am just stirring to incorporate everything. I do like mixing it by hand. My batches are a little too big to use like a standard KitchenAid blend, mixer, and to get the next level up for a bigger mixer, it's quite an investment. So I find it works best for me to mix by hand anyway, even if I'm making a smaller batch, because you can really get a feel for the consistency. And I think I've got my recipe down to the point where I know exactly what I put in is going to work and it's going to be the right consistency. I don't have to sit there and fiddle with spritzing and spraying and, trying to make something work that's not going to in terms of the moisture. And so here I've got the Red 7 Lake. This is the batch certified from BeScented. And if you're selling bath bombs, you need to make sure that if you're using the lakes, they need to be batch certified. And I'm just using 1 scoop. If you saw my last recipe last video where I made the cotton candy bath bombs, I ended up using 2 scoops, but I thought, this is such a pretty color, but let me tone it down. I feel like cherry blossoms isn't as vibrant as the cotton candy ones were. And so now I'm just going to go ahead and mix it in. I think it's important when you're using the dry colorants to mix the colors into your recipe before you add the liquids, because if you don't, it's just a lot harder and you're going to get some spotting. It's just harder to mix the colorant into the wet mixture. So just a tip, go ahead and mix it in while everything's dry. And so now that I've got the mixture all mixed together, I'm going to go ahead and add my cocoa butter. I go ahead and put this in the microwave as I'm getting started so that it's ready and it's melted, and then it's also cooled down enough by the time I'm ready to add it in. So I just add a little bit at a time. All right, and now I'm going to go ahead and measure out my polysorbate. Looks like I added a little bit too much, so I'm just going to pour some back. With soap, if you add a little bit extra oil, it's okay, but if you add too much liquid to your bath bombs, they are going to get too wet and they're going to take forever to dry and they're not going to get hard enough. So this is really important not to over add any of the wet ingredients. The wet ingredients are very specific in bath bombs. All right, and then at this point I've added all of my liquids, so my polysorbate, the cocoa butter, and now the fragrance. And I'm just gonna go ahead and start scooping. Sorry about the camera angle. I think I was more worried about getting the bath bombs made than the camera angle. But these are the molds I get from BeScented. They're stainless steel, and you can see they pop right out. You don't have to sit there and beat the mold with a spoon or a fork. I see a lot of people struggling to get the bath bombs out of the molds. These molds are great, especially if you use this recipe. Works pretty well. And the recipe's in the comments. And that one, not sure what happened there. I probably just didn't pack it enough. And so it was just a little bit not dense enough, so it did fall apart. Once in a while that does happen, no big deal. Go ahead and incorporate. I'm just gonna mix up my batter one more time, squeeze it, make sure it works good, and then I'm good to go. And then from here on out, just knock them out. I usually get, with this recipe, I usually get about 30 to 32 bath bombs, 4.5 ounce size. They pop out real nice. You can see it's pretty smooth. And you can see there are the finished bath bombs. If you can see in the back row, those are the cotton candy. They're just a little bit darker than the cherry blossom. All right, and then I had a little bit of the mixture left over from my recipe, so I just wanted to show you guys what the color actually looks like in the finished bath bomb. These do not, this color is kind of what you see is what you get, but some of the other lakes that BeScented has definitely change colors. So they're fun because they change colors, but this just come once. I just wanted to give everyone an idea for what the actual color looks like. I'm not trying to test the bath bomb. I'm not trying to show how much it foams or fizzes or bubbles. This is just color demonstration only. One of my pet peeves is when people put a bath bomb in like a tiny sink and they're like, oh, look at all the bubbles, all the foam, all that. It's not really a great, accurate reflection of how the bath bomb's going to react in the bigger bath bomb. So, and this is the color. It's super pretty. This is about it. Thanks for watching, everyone.